So I had a random thought recently. How does somebody end up depressed, alone, and tired of their own life? And why is it such a common trend nowadays? I realized that this is probably because they don't do life. They just wait for life to happen. And that's not to be dismissive of mental health and people's personal struggles, but realistically, the only way things will ever get done in this world is if you are the one doing them. If you don't take the initiative, you'll never be able to have the things that you want. You won't have the social life. You won't have the meaningful connection. You won't have deep relationships. And I understand that it's difficult, especially now where we are all raised by technology and we struggle to take the initiative. And what I mean by taking the initiative in this sense is just being the first person to talk, going to that person and saying hello. Even though, like, you're in the same room, you're doing the same thing, but, like, which one of you is gonna say hello first? Or are both of you not gonna say anything to each other? And personally, this is something I still have to work on. The reason I'm making this video is because I feel like or I know why this happens. It's because, like, it's the mental battle. Taking the initiative is really a mental struggle within yourself. It's hard to take the initiative because nobody else does. And you can be like everybody else and hope that somebody else will go and take the initiative to talk to you. But realistically, that's not really a recipe for success. It's like coming home and expecting food to always be on the table when you live alone and you don't cook. It's not gonna happen. Occasionally, I don't know, in some rare circumstance, you might bring some food home and you'll have dinner that way. But if you're not the one cooking, the food isn't gonna get cooked and you are going to starve. So where does that sense of awkwardness come from when you want to take the initiative, when you want to go up to somebody and speak? Why is it that there's this awkward tension that both of you can feel, but neither of you will address? And I really think this comes down to, like, awkwardness happens when you don't feel like you belong somewhere. Because I'm certain, like, when you were a kid, you didn't have these moments with other kids where you just were, like, standing there and waiting for them to talk to you. You would just go and do something. And the reason why is because both of you were in school and both of you belonged in that school. And you were in the same class and you were sat next to each other. So because all of these things, like, meshed together at the same time, it worked out to be a really good experience. It was very easy to make friends when you were in school, because all you had to do was just show up and be next to somebody else. But it's not as easy as an adult, because first of all, how many of us are actively being in social situations? Second of all, how many of us are actually participating in being social in those social situations? As an adult, you don't really know where you belong and what place you occupy in this world. And when you don't know that, when you're still trying to figure it all out, that's when you are awkward and you don't know how to socialize, because people don't feel like they're a part of your group and you don't feel like you're a part of their group. And when you don't have that common ground, it's a bit difficult because everybody's a stranger. So how do you then cultivate that sense of belonging? This I'm not entirely sure about, but I have a few ideas. So the first thing you might be able to do is to reframe it. So instead of trying to fit in with them, you just have to reframe it as you're inviting them to participate in a conversation. You're not asking to have a conversation with them, you're inviting them to converse with you. This is a small reframing of the whole topic, but it might actually help a lot when it comes to actually talking to people, because a lot of us grow up with this, we don't feel like we don't take space that we should be taking. They don't feel like they have a place to interrupt you in a conversation. For example, like, let's say you see two people talking and one of them is your friend and you just want to say hi to your friend. Are you going to go up and disrupt that conversation and, kind of make it awkward just to say hi to your friend? Some people would. Many people wouldn't. And that's where I kind of fell, where a lot of times I would see my friends talking, but because they looked busy, I just wouldn't approach them. They looked unapproachable. And that's not to say that they were, but in my own head, it was like the self-elimination. Don't talk to them, don't bother them. Just try to find some other time or just wait until they're done. That's the thing that I usually did. But if we reframe our conversation to be an invitation, you're inviting somebody to talk with you, then it becomes less like you're not really intruding on their space, you're inviting them to your space. And I feel like this would have some sort of shift in the way that you talk. Like when you talk, you'll talk a lot about yourself, but at the same time, you invite them to speak about themselves. Me personally, I'm a person who rarely talks about myself. I mean, I will if asked, but I won't. It just doesn't occur to my mind to bring it up in the course of a normal conversation. There does have to be some level of talking about yourself in order to have a good conversation with somebody. So invite people to experience you and get to know you, and then have them share a bit about themselves if they're comfortable. And I think that's the best approach to it. Because when you invite people to talk with you, you don't feel like you're intruding on their space, because they can just say no, right? They can say, I'm busy, can't talk right now, and you'll just be like, okay, that's fine. And then you'll invite somebody else to talk with you, and you don't take it personally because it's not like you're being rejected. For some other reason, they can't accept your invitation to converse. And I'm not gonna lie, this would take a lot of effort on your part, because saying all this stuff is easy. Actually doing it is hard. And it's one of those things where you just have to remember beforehand. Before you get into the conversation, remember that you're not forcing it. You're just inviting them to speak with you. And as you walk up to that person wanting to say something, just remember that you're not trying to impress them, you're not trying to get something out of them, you're just inviting them to talk with you. And that's something that may or may not be helpful. I think it'll be helpful. I'm going to try it later this week. But anyways, that's it for this video, and thank you for watching.